News is that a downpour is causing some disturbance with the racing program, making conditions on the water very uncomfortable for the competitors, and we are battling on here. And the next race is the first semi-final for the women's lightweight doubles. Two of these crews will go through to the grand final, another two to the B final, and another two to the C. And the full six-boat lineup: Spain in lane 1, Australia lane 2, Denmark lane 3, next to China in lane 4, then the Mexicans, the dark horses, in lane 5, and Greece in lane 6.
Well, I know if I were in these conditions, my tactics, if I were able, would be to try to get what lead I could through the first 1,000. I suspect that what we'll find is that with these conditions, the crews will settle down, and we'll see relatively, I suspect, little change over the second 1,000. Certainly over the last 500, I'd be surprised if people can move very much. So if it were at all possible, and if I had enough bullets to fire, I'd like to get out there fast over that first 1,000, give myself that comfort factor of being able to look back, see the other crews battling it out. Only two to go through, of course, from this heat, this semi-final. And China looking very good, looking very strong at the moment. You can see from that shot the strength of the rain coming down, in the sense that you can't actually see the lake in the distance. You can only see the splash of the drops of water as they go in. Being pressed very hard by that Danish double and also by the Australians. It's an extremely good shot that across there, those three crews battling it out, very little to choose between them.
And the Chinese double going for that comfort factor, as you called it, John, but their lead being eaten away steadily now by the Danes, just the other side of them. And Australia still not out of it yet. Just under half a length separating these three doubles, and only two to qualify as the Danes are beginning to squeeze out into the lead. Most
definitely, as always in these qualifying conditions, the race dictated by the speed of the third place crew, or the crew that is just behind qualifying. At the moment, the Danish crew, with that long economical style of theirs, just easing ahead of the Chinese. And very little to spare over the Australians. Certainly no comfort factor for them.
Well, the rain getting a little solid now, as this first heat of lightweight women's doubles comes down to the 1,500-metre mark. Just a quarter of this race left to go, and China beginning to fall back, allowing Denmark and Australia to slip through into the two main qualifying slots.
Certainly rather glad from this position that we've got the Australians in yellow top so that I can see them.
Yeah, Virginia Lee there, the girl rowing at bow, bound to do better than last year. 7th place she got at Indianapolis with her previous partner, Annabelle Cater.
Prepared them beautifully for this. 250 metres to go, about 30 strokes. Danish, eyes firmly fixed on that third place Chinese crew, and the Chinese kicking hard, not giving up yet. Some fight left yet.
As the competitors come down to the line, led by the Australian double, Virginia Lee and Joanne Morgan, who now have quite a comfort margin ahead of Denmark. There go Australia across the line, followed a length back by Denmark. A length and a half later, there goes China, who showed such early strength in that 2,000-metre race, but didn't have quite the power to sustain it through the second part. And then Spain and Greece, 4th and 5th.
That was a very difficult race for those Chinese girls there. They were locked in a battle with the first two crews ahead of them, and then an enormous gap behind them. Extremely hard for them to keep pushing once they lost the sense of the Danish boat alongside them. Unless you know something I don't, Robert.
Precisely, because what I was going to say was that and the Netherlands, who took the direct path, and that's why they're in the two centre lanes, because that's the way things go in rowing. The fastest qualifiers take the plum choice of lanes in the centre of the course. So once again, pretty solid rain up there at the start. The Netherlands double, Lorien Vermulst and Ellen Melissa. Vermulst, who was placed silver, second place silver medal slot in the lightweight women's singles last year, and I've got a sneaky suspicion that she's clambered into the double precisely to get an Olympic qualifying place for next year at Atlanta, where, like the men's counterparts, the lightweight women's doubles will also be an Olympic event for the first time.
Yeah. And certainly a crew to be reckoned with. Race well underway now, and as the girls go through the 1,000-meter mark, we've got that difficult situation once again developing, where 3 crews are vying for the 2 qualifying places. Looks like we got Holland in lane 4, maybe just shading it a touch over the USA and Canada. They're battling it out in lanes 2 and 3 for that second qualifying spot, but really very little between them at the moment.
The 3 leading doubles taking on the pace of the race, and the others left trailing in their wake. So Lucerne running true to form yet again, because these were the 3 leading contenders from that regatta. But the Dutch double really pushing on ahead. They've got about a canvas lead ahead of the Americans and the Canadians, who are neck and neck in the second slot.
Yes, all 3 crews at roughly 34, 35 strokes to the minute, which in a tough, tense semi-final gives you a bit of a clue about the holding nature of the conditions in which these athletes are racing. See the Canadian girl just in stroke there, just glancing across at the US. Again, not just at this level. She won't just be looking at whether they're up or moving, but how they're moving. She'll be able to sense from the way they're moving whether they're going well or not. The Dutch, of course, in the perfect position of the 3 of them, if there is a perfect position when you're this close, to actually observe what's happening behind them. Although I have to tell you, half a length isn't a great deal of comfort factor. 1,500 meter marker there, so 500 to go, about 50 strokes. US probably only a couple of feet behind the Canadians for that second qualifying place.
And confirmation there of the 1,500 meter times, and 1 3/4 seconds covering the 3 leading doubles.
I think some experience being shown here by this Canadian double. They're kicking very hard now, just locking on as fast as they can and just driving the legs down, get them across the line. 20, 30 strokes to go now. That's how it's going to finish. I think a gallant effort from the American girls there. But I think they're slightly just running out of steam now, and if anything, the Canadian girls just drawing slightly away. Dutch double goes through there, but length of clear water up on the Canadians, who had about 1/2 to 3/4 of a length over a very gallant effort from the American lightweight double.
Confirmation then that Holland and Canada go to final A, the States and Austria the B final, and Romania and New Zealand well out of it in 5th and 6th.
With the 3rd of the semi-finals of the lightweight women's doubles, Russia lane 1, Argentina lane 2, France lane 3, Germany 4, Italy 5, and a Swedish crew nearest us on lane 6. Terrible conditions. I thought that for this race and for the last there was a false start and there was a double beat, but in fact it was simply an echo from these difficult conditions. Once again, all 6 crews away very cleanly and through that first 100-meter marker. Germans setting the early pace, with Sweden trying to find their way through to that second qualifying position. The Germans, I think, will try to give themselves a decent cushion over this first 1,000 meters. We'll see how difficult it is. Very hard to keep the concentration. All you want to do is get this over and done with. Particularly if you feel you're going to get through, you want to try and get through with as little damage done as possible. The Italians sculling nicely just behind that Swedish double, those nearest to us in lane 6. Italians, nice economical style, just tapping that boat along. A bit of a dogfight behind the Swedes, but at the moment it's Germany in first position, Sweden in the second qualifying position.
Interesting lineup from that German double, because in the bow seat is Michel Darville, who competed for Canada at last year's championships in Indianapolis, 5th placed in the lightweight single. but now presumably made her home in Germany and competing as a German national along with Ruth Capps, and they came through strongly to take silver medal at Lucerne. So they've got the first qualifying place, maintain that lead by about half a length up on Sweden. The Knippi sisters, Monica and Christina, they've been together as a double for the last 2 or 3 years. 7th placed in Prague, and then a disappointing performance at Indianapolis. They could only manage 9th, and again they won the small final in Lucerne, so looking to do considerably better this time out against other competitors who've had such a hard struggle of it today. So 500 meters left to go in this 2,000 meter race, and Germany and Sweden maintain their lead. Confirmation of the split times there at 1,500 meters.
Hope they get extra for rowing at what looks like night. Swedes hanging on in there, and those two crews comfortably now ahead of the Italians. Yeah, I suspect this is as much of the case of the Germans having had enough of these conditions and wanting to get it over and done with. They're just paddling over the line, no effort.
So Germany crossed the line in the leading place, followed by Sweden. There goes Italy, with France and Russia.
And racing, we saw some really classy racing early on today.